guys, it's me, the Demi Tia Show. It's been a minute. This is also my first time saying hi, welcome to the Demi Tia Show after the fact that Demi passed away, so it's a little weird for me. I do plan on posting more regularly again. Hopefully I stick to that because, you know, YouTube is something I really wanted to pursue as a kid, and I really want to try to do that again. So today we are going into my most annoying customer experiences in obviously I'm doing places that I worked at before that I do not plan on going back to. Disclaimer, nothing against the companies, this is solely my personal experience with customers, and I will not be touching base on the store that I currently work in now. So let's dive into it. We're gonna start with Build-A-Bear Workshop. I worked there for 2 years, started when I was 18. I think I was just about to turn 20 when I stopped, or I had just turned 20. So starting strong. This woman comes in. I would also like to preface the story that she was really, really sweet. This was just a weird experience that I had. So she comes in with her son. He's like a preteen. He's, you know, looking for his bear. And she's coming to me and she's like, you know, like, I'm trying to cherish these moments because, you know, he is a little older. So the fact that he still likes Build-A-Bear is a really big idea. It is, you know, usually like boys that age are like, I'm too cool for that stuff, mom. So, you know, I was having that conversation with her. And then she proceeds to say, you know, he's growing up so fast, he even has hair down there. Why did I need to know that? Why did I? Ma'am, this is a Build-A-Bear workshop. Why did I need to know that? I'm a grown woman that you do not know. Why are you telling me this? And thankfully she didn't say it in front of him. That probably would have, like, embarrassed him so bad. But, just weird. Don't do that. Next story. So, this is around the time that we got the Snorlaxes, and the thing about the Snorlaxes, they're really, really big. I have one, but I can't show you. I'd give you an example, but they're really big, and you have to stuff them a lot since they're so big. So obviously part of it is that you have to hand the bear to the kids so that they can hug it and be like, okay, this is perfect, and then you stitch it up. So I give the Snorlax to the kid, and I swear this happened in slow motion, but he picks up the bear, pulls it up behind his head, and goes, this thing smacks me on the side of my head so hard that I smash into the stuffing machine. And I remember just sitting there like, good, great. The kid ended up getting smacked in front of me, which I was like, hey, don't do that either. Poor kid had shell shock. He said sorry. You know, he shouldn't have thrown the bear at me, but at the same time, you know, I don't know what was going through the kid's mind. Okay, I don't know if he thought I was gonna catch it. I don't know. Okay? But he also didn't deserve to get smacked, in my humble opinion. So this next story, basically this woman comes in and she talks about her friend brought her kids to Build-A-Bear and that they had a great experience and the worker was super enthusiastic. And don't get me wrong, I am an actress, and every day, no matter how tiring, I tried my best to be as enthusiastic as possible, but I am a human. And so I never try to make an experience for a kid boring or, you know, something that they won't look back on. And I'm going to again preface this by saying the kids had fun. They had fun. The only issue here was the mother. So the mom, after I do the little bear heart ceremony, you know, like rub it on your heart so it'll always love you, that thing, she goes, you could have been more enthusiastic.
But what the hell, boy?
I beg your pardon? I beg your pardon? Your kids are happy. They're doing a little jig over there with their bears. But I wasn't enthusiastic enough for you. Okay, last time I checked, this is not about you. It's about your kids. And the kids were so happy. They were adorable. I don't even remember what bears they got, but they were just so excited. So I don't know what I was supposed to do different. I felt like I did really good because at that point I was like, okay, I'm gonna be extra, which I was. So I don't know what exactly was expected of me there. My last story, I will remember this forever. Okay, this was a core memory for me, but basically, this lady calls the phone, and my manager's at the register, and I'm the only person on the floor, so that means I have to answer the phone. So I answer, and I forgot exactly how the conversation started, but eventually she asked what the address of the mall is. Now, should I have known the address of my job? Yes. Am I good with addresses? No. I just know I work at mall. Mall is in this town. I've been to this mall since I was a kid. That's all I know, okay? So, in my head, she had to look up Build-A-Bear Workshop. Ooh. She had to look up Build-A-Bear to get our number. So if you look up our number, the address is right there. So this is where I start getting confused. Obviously, I'm not going to say that because that would be considered rude. You don't do that. So I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not really sure. So she starts calling me names like, oh, this is unprofessional, you shouldn't work there, blah, 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 blah. So I remember just standing there, absolutely frozen. So I asked my manager, I'm like, hey, what's the address? He looks at me and goes, I don't know. So again, I go, hey, I'm not entirely sure. So she just keeps yelling. At this point, I don't even know what she's yelling about because I have really bad anxiety and I'm also autistic. So if I'm getting yelled at, my brain just goes, it shuts off, okay? It shuts off. So I just hand the phone to my manager and I go, this is all you. All you. This man turns around, grabs a paper, and reads the address. You couldn't tell me that and I love my manager. He was an angel on earth, but you couldn't tell me that. So I went to the back, and if you don't know, Build-A-Bear has the stuffing in this giant hay bale. So I sat next to the hay bale with all the stuffing on the floor and just bawled my eyes out. And he came to the back and he was like, take your time. Arguably, that was like the worst experience, one of the worst. I had a few really bad experiences at Build-A-Bear, but we're moving on to when I worked as a scare actor at a farm. Now, I will not be disclosing what farm because it's a little eerily close to my house. So we're gonna start with what I call the creepy unknown man. Now, this wasn't an annoying experience, but it was jarring for me and me alone. So basically, nobody comes to this farm in costume for these events. And as a worker, you know who all of the characters are and what every other worker dresses up as. So now I was a dead little girl. So I'm in there and you would hear the front door open, and that was kind of my cue as of to when to jump out. So I'm about to jump out, and then I notice this tall man with a skeleton mask, a top hat, and a suit. There is no man in a skeleton mask and a top hat and a suit. He kind of looked like the guy from Franbo. You know who I'm talking about? I forgot his name. He'll be here somewhere. So at the end of my shift, I go to get changed, and I'm like, hey, did you guys see the guy in the top hat and the back? Everyone said no. Who was it then? Because I sure as hell didn't conjure it. I didn't imagine that. Who was that, and why was he there, and how come I'm the only person that saw him? Even like, because there was an actress that opens and closes the door, so I asked her, and she was like, no one like that went in. Where did he come from then? Who was he then? I still couldn't answer that question to this day, and I think about it a lot. But whoever you are, I hope I never see you again. So, also in my hiding spot, there was an opening and a closing. So out of the closing, I could scare them again after they go through that hallway. And before I could scare them, this drunk, bald-headed man peeks his head into the curtain, and I'm like, out. I think I literally went like this. I didn't touch his head, but I was like, out, get out, which, like, I don't know why people were allowed to be drunk on the premises. That's not, I don't understand. That was weird to me. I didn't like that, but I had nothing to do with the rules that applied there. So this was before I was put into the haunted barn, and I was on the haunted hayride. Now, the haunted hayride was a bit much for me for a lot of reasons, but we're not going to get into that. So one of the things that I'm really good at is I can do a horror movie scream. So that was kind of like my thing there. A lot of the customers really enjoyed that. My manager really liked that because she was always hearing stuff back about me that was positive. So that I had to do that frequently for like 5 hours every day. So on the hayride, I go to do that. And this woman looks at me and goes, "Ow. Where do you think you are? The whole place is noisy. Aside from me, the animatronics are loud. People are screaming left and right because they're scared. Now you're gonna say ow because I screamed in front of you?" So I did it again because it made me mad. Anyway, so this is probably the final and one of the most annoying parts about being a scare actor is that a lot of people, and I want to say middle school to high school range mainly, like to flirt with scare actors. And while I get it, it's funny, it's haha, scare actors are usually grown adults, and being flirted with by children is really, really weird and uncomfortable, to the point that I couldn't even really continue to do my job. At that point, I would just leave because I was uncomfortable and I didn't want to entertain that behavior. But they would say weird stuff like I couldn't even tell you. I couldn't tell you what I don't remember because I mostly blocked it out. Now, the final story we will be discussing today is Spirit Halloween. Now, I still love Spirit Halloween. I think that it was one of my best jobs, literally ever. I have what I consider lifelong friends now, and they're absolutely amazing. But let's get into the stories. So my first one is this woman that asked me if I was a serial killer. Now you're probably wondering, well, Tia, why would she ask you if you're a serial killer? Well, so there's a kid section in Spirit Halloween for Five Nights at Freddy's and Poppy Playtime. Now, if you know anything about those games, they aren't necessarily targeted towards children, but children love them for some reason, so they do get children merch. And I have nothing entirely against it. I think as a parent, you should monitor what your children are watching. However, I can say that when I was little, I definitely interacted with things that were considered like horror. So like creepypasta. Five Nights at Freddy's came out when I was around like 12, 14, I couldn't tell you. So Five Nights at Freddy's, a lot of RPG horror games like Mad Father, stuff like that. So she mentions like, oh, like I just find that like disgusting, like they're raising their kids to be serial killers, which that's not how that works. And so I was like, oh, like, you know, I think it's really important that people monitor the content that their children are consuming. However, you know, like I interacted with a lot of content like that, and I am fine, I'm good, you know, it plays a lot into my interests now, and I don't think it stunted me in any way. And that's basically what I said. And she looks at me and she goes, well, are you a serial killer? But like, she was serious. She was, you know. So I was like, no, I'm not. And then I just walked away because why'd you say that? It's a little weird. And granted, I'm gonna be honest, I was committed to the bit of like looking good while working at Spirit Halloween, and that did not last longer than a week. So I did not look like this. I looked like I rolled out of bed and I put on a baggy t-shirt. So even like, you know, some people are like, oh, you know, like maybe your style would have thrown around. No, my hair was frizzy in a ponytail and I had my little pink glasses on. Not a serial killer. Another annoying story, I wouldn't say this is so much annoying, but it was more so just confusing. So this girl comes in and she's asking for sparkly eyeshadow. And she didn't even specify eyeshadow either. She just went, oh, you know, like the sparkly, and went like that. So context clues, eyeshadow. So I'm like, yeah, follow me, whatever. So I take her to the back and I show her our main like sparkly eyeshadow palette. And she's like, that's not what I want. So I'm like, okay. So then I pull out like the individual ones, like these smaller like ones, and she's like, that's not it either. So I was like, so what do you want? And she's like, the glittery stuff you put on your eyes. So now we're just staring at each other because I don't understand what she means. So I'm like, come with me, right? So I go to get someone else, and I'm like, she wants glittery stuff for her eyes. And the customer repeats to this person. So we all go back together. Now I go back because I'm trying to figure out what she's talking about. So my coworker also pulls the eyeshadow palette, and she's like, no, not that. So I don't know what happened here, but my coworker was like, and pulled out, like, you know those rhinestones that you like stick on your face and stuff? She wanted that. How was I supposed to know? But I'm glad my coworker did, because if it was me and only me that day, that lady would have left empty-handed. So there was a period of time where Spirit Halloween was doing these buy anything in the store and you get a tote bag and some Butterfingers for free. Very nice tote bag, by the way. So, you know, people were getting this tote bag, and obviously if you are a diehard, you know, Spirit fanatic, you know when these things are going on. So this kid and his mom come in, and he comes up to me, he's like, hey, are you guys doing the free tote bags? And I was like, yes. And he was like, can I get one? And I was like, unfortunately I can't just give it to you, you have to buy anything in the store. I was like, literally anything, you don't have to buy anything expensive. He was like, what's the cheapest thing in the store? And I point out our pens. Our pens were like $1.99 or $2.99, something like that. And he's staring at this pen. Now me personally, I would spend the $1.99 for a tote bag and some candy, because a tote bag is usually like, what, sometimes 20 for the type of fabric that the bag was. It was definitely like a $20 tote bag, alongside some candy. So it seems pretty fair to me if you buy the pen and you leave with all that, you know, it's pretty good. So him and his mom are standing there next to my register for like 10 to 15 minutes. I don't even know if they were speaking to each other. I couldn't tell you because I was doing my own thing. But eventually he comes up and he's like, I'm not gonna buy it. And I was like, okay. I don't know what that was about, but I was confused. This is also not an annoying moment, but I would say very similar to the farm one where the guy had the skeleton mask on. So basically this guy is walking around very weirdly while his girlfriend is shopping. What I mean by weirdly, I mean like he was just looking at people, and majority of the people are kids, so it's just, I don't know, it's weird. But I choose to, you know, just kind of keep an eye on the situation before I make any assumptions here. So I'm walking around with another coworker, and then the man walks in front of us again. However, this time he has a mask on, and he slowly walked past us, like fully staring into our eyes. And I don't know about you, but when you ever just get like a sick feeling in your, like, people would wear the mask. It was never like, I was used to seeing that, but it was just something about this was so off. So I remember me and my coworker, we booked it to the front, we booked it. And at the time, I'm 23. A lot of the workers are like 18 and have no survival instincts at this point of their lives. But they were like, oh, you know, like, just tell him no. And I was like, listen, I was like, this is not like any other situation. This guy is, I don't know. So I go to the only guy on staff at the time, which, bless his soul, sweet angel. But he was like, I have to go. And I was like, you have to go. You have to talk to him, because I will not. And I watched him on the camera just to make sure, like, this guy didn't do anything to him or anyone around him, because, you know, and luckily the guy just took off the mask, and the girlfriend was like, what are you doing? Why are you making people uncomfortable? Like, you could tell the girlfriend was like, what are you doing? And that was kind of the end of that. This was a short video, but I hope you guys enjoyed my annoying customer stories, and I'm hoping maybe to upload every Saturday. Next week I have a very interesting idea to do, so I will see you guys then. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys